A-I-Y-E. Okay, so I'll use those terms as we go. Orishas are still adept at both creation and destruction. So I mentioned that there are malevolent spirits that kind of hinder you along your way, and then there are ancestral spirits which generally try to help you along the way. The thing about Yoruba spiritual understanding is that to be spiritual is not necessarily to be good, it's not necessarily to be bad. That's all spiritual. And so you can create and you can destroy. You can be good, you can be evil. You can connect, you can disconnect, but you're still spiritual. That's still a spiritual part of what it means to connect with the spiritual world. And so the Orishas are adept at both creation and destruction, can be good and evil, can help connect or disconnect. And there's a very close connection between humanity and the Orishas. It's very quickly professed that if humanity were not, the gods would not be. There's this connection between the gods and humanity. The humans need the Orishas, but the Orishas need humanity as well. They are looking to connect with the rest of the world as well, and so they want to connect with humans as much as humans want to connect with them. And so they connect with each other through stories. Humans hear the communication of divine stories and historical stories and mythical stories, and they connect with the divine through them, and that's how the Orishas connect with humans as well. The idea is making everything potentially sacred. And again, this could be good or evil. You can be, good spiritual, evil spiritual. But the hope is that you will understand what's going on with this world spiritually. You will understand your destiny to be connected with the Orishas, to be connected with others, to be connected with everything in the world, all the spiritual forces that work in this world. And for you to no longer see a boundary between the two, but to really see everything on a spiritual spectrum. Now, the kind of, you don't want to say highest, but the most respected, the kind of most, if you go farthest back, this is kind of the original gangster of Orishas, as it were, Oludumare, and he goes under other names as well. He's also known as Olarune or Alaye. It depends on where you are. But he is the ruler of the cosmos. He's the one who keeps it really all together. He's the first creator, and he didn't create humankind, but he created the Orishas. He created a lot of the things of this world and the universe. He is the supreme essence of all spiritualness, of all Asha. Asha being the spiritual force that holds this world together. He is the supreme essence of it. And so you could say he's the highest concentration of spiritual power. And so he is to be very well respected. He's not necessarily revered, although some people revere him and worship him, but he is to be respected. If Oludumare is speaking, he's going to trump all the other Orishas. He's going to trump all other human diviners. He's going to trump anybody. So if Oludumare is the one speaking, he's the one to be listened to. He's the one to be respected. Now, as I mentioned, he created the Orishas, and he did so. There's various stories. There's some story that there's fragments of the great Orisha, and he may be the great Orisha, or he may have gathered together the many fragments. Other stories attribute that to Oren Mila, another deity. There's another part that says he had a consort named Odudwa, and or also known as Iya Agbe, the mother of the calabash. And that they got together, and that from them they had children, and some of them were Orishas, and some of them were not Orishas. Some of them were these malevolent spirits or benevolent spirits, all these different things. But there's all these stories. But the essence of it is that he is the source of all things. Now, the many Orishas may have gone and created the world as we know it, may have created human beings, but Oludumare is the source of all of that. He's the supreme essence of the Asha, therefore all creative spiritual power comes from him. Now, another major deity also present at the creation of the world is Eshu. And Eshu is known by a few different names, but Eshu is his prime name. He's the deliverer of messages and sacrifices from Aye, the human dimension, to Orun, the heavenly or Orisha dimension. He's also kind of a trickster. He does put up roadblocks against those who don't treat him well, but he clears the way for those who do treat him well, who make the proper sacrifices. He can be particularly tricky, though, if you cross him. And in many ways, Christian missionaries and other people interacting with Yoruba religion in the past have associated him with Satan because he kind of gets this evil look a lot of the times. The picture here, very kind representation of Eshu with the key, into the gates of the heavenly realm, kind of standing behind him. He'll get you in. He'll get you across the river. He'll get you into the city, the sacred city of the Orishas, so that you can take your message or your sacrifice to them. But the idea is he can be very tricky and try to trick you, and try to tell you, well, this is the sacrifice you need to make, but really it's not the sacrifice you need to make, and he's always trying to mess with your life. So he kind of gets a bad rap sometimes, particularly from outsiders, and that's why some outsiders say Yoruba religionists are Satan worshippers, because they continue to venerate Eshu, even though he is a trickster, even though he messes around with them. People see him as necessary because he's a change agent. He provokes us to our destiny. And so while he may be tricking us, while he may be putting up roadblocks, this is only to provoke us to search deeper for our destiny and to know greater how we can connect with the Orishas and with one another. Now, the other side of the communication is Oren Mila, or Oren Mila. He is the deliverer of messages and sacrifices from Orun to Aya. And so pictured here again, Oludumare is the one on the top, kind of looking the traditional role of God, if we were to pick a traditional picture of him. And here's Oren Mila. He's the one pointing to the Ifa divination, the palm nuts before him. Okay, this is a small picture of Ifa divination, which we'll talk about later. But he's saying this is the message from the Orun, the realm of the Orishas. Okay, so he's the owner of the Ifa corpus. The Ifa corpus is the many different ways you can read the Ifa divination, the tossing of palm nuts or the calabash seeds and all that. He is aware of all destinies. He's the one who's going to communicate your destiny the best. And so he's kind of a very powerful god. And together with Eshu and Olodumare, they kind of form a Yoruba Trinity, as Stephen Prothero puts it. The Trinity consisting of Oludumare, the prime creator, the essence of all Asha. And then there's Eshu, who's kind of the negative side of things. He's the change agent. He's associated with change and chaos. And then there's Oren Mila, who's associated with stability and harmony and knowledge and destiny. And so together they're kind of the prime three. I mean, if you're going to connect with your destiny at some point in time, you're going to have to deal with Eshu and Oren Mila. And of course, this is all resonating from Oludumare anyways. So it's kind of the Trinity. But again, don't think this is how Yoruba spiritualists think about their gods, but these are kind of three prime deities, prime Orishas in their pantheon. There's also Ocean. Ocean is kind of a bridge between the creation Orishas and natural force Orishas. That's because she's a goddess, a deity of many natural forces, of rivers and sweet waters and fertility and childbearing and love. But she's also the only female present at creation. So she's very important, Orisha, very popularized, very popular as an Orisha for people to consult. Obviously, love is something a lot of people want to consult about, and childbearing is something that people want to be consulted about. Is that their destiny? What's their love destiny? What's their child family destiny? All of that. So she's a very important Orisha, and therefore she was there at creation. So there's this understanding that she's very much a part of creation and very much a part of this world, and so she gets a big role to play. She was also the first to perform Ifa divination. So whereas Oren Mila is the one who possesses all Ifa knowledge, she was the first to kind of put that to use, the first to perform Ifa divination and to try to divine the will of the Orishas for reconnection and for our own destiny. Very important. Then there's Ogun. This is kind of the most important male god. If Ocean's the most important female, this guy's the most important male. He's the Orisha of iron. So he's an iron deity, but extrapolated from this, he's the Orisha of tools, of hunting, and of war, and therefore he's also the Orisha of creativity and technology. He's an Orisha of violence and blood. You can see fire there. You can see this dark color and this sword in this picture. He's He is a god of war, you might say. But he's also kind of a tragic figure because